I'm Ian Rush and you're watching the Redmen TV.
Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the Uncensored Match Build Up show as Liverpool face Manchester City at Eastlands, or the City of Manchester Stadium, or the
Main Road,
whatever. Whatever, man. Yeah, this is a slightly less well-formatted version of the show because Christmas is here and it's fucked the schedule up early. Nice one, Santa. We're doing this in the hours after the Cardiff win, so we're all in good mood, which will help. But of course, we don't know we don't know whether we're top of the league or not, which is,
let's just say we are.
Let's say we're not.
We are now.
In the middle. Well, as we're filming, we are top of the league, and it's great. Let's hope we still have by the time this comes out. Anyway, I'm joined by Chris Pajak, John Major, and Jack Hart. We were looking at this run of games where, because it started with Spurs, then we had Cardiff, and then obviously still got City, and Chelsea to come. So we've got 6 points in the bag going into this game. Do you expect, or do you want anything from this game? I know, obviously, we want us to win every game.
Yes.
But what are your thoughts going into it?
I think we can play with a certain amount of freedom there on Boxing Day. I think we can go there and just play our game of football, much like we did at Tottenham. I think we can just go and play how we've been playing. We know Man City are going to score goals. The only way we're going to get a point is to score goals ourselves. I don't think we're going to be able to sit as two banks of four and stop them from scoring. So for me, we've got to go and get a goal if we want to get a draw or a win.
What about you? Would you favour a more? Because I agree with Chris to a certain extent. Is that we were looking at a 12-point block and thinking we'd all be pretty happy with 6 points out of that. We've got 6 points now. Do you go and take a pragmatic approach? Do you go and say, well, you know what, let's go and frustrate the life out of them, or do you go toe to toe?
I suspect there'll be a lot of supporters who'll want us to go and spoil the game and stop being beaten. I don't think that's in Rodgers' makeup, to be honest. Or has he done that at Chelsea, at Arsenal rather, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I said if we can get 36 points by the halfway point, that's a good tally for us, and we've done that already. So we're in bonus land for me now. We've got tough games, but we've sort of lessened the problem.
Yeah.
I think for me at City, we really need to just stop them scoring loads of goals. We want to keep.
Which sounds easy.
We want to keep our goal difference reasonable. We don't want it to be totally destroyed, like Tottenham's was.
Yeah.
By getting pasted by City.
Well, they're negative now, aren't they?
Tottenham's wasn't exactly a sterling record they had up until
so,
that point.
Let's. I think I'll go along with what Chris says. Let's go there and give it a go. But again, let's try and keep the goal difference.
So let's go gung-ho, but also be mindful of not conceding too many goals.
If they're going to score 3, we've got to score 3.
Yeah.
Or 2. As long as we're not getting pasted 6-0.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's a prerequisite, isn't it?
Is the just? But the thing is, look, Arsenal went there, the champions-elect went there and got tonked by all accounts. They are absolutely, City are irresistible. The only people getting better value for money from their season tickets, I think, at home than us so far this season. Good on you as well. They're fucking irresistible. How would you approach the game?
I think we've had a lot of reason to feel cheerful since that Arsenal game, when we were quite disappointed to have Rings run around us a little bit in the midfield. I think since then we've lifted things quite considerably, and I think that should give us confidence. I think we should go into this thinking this is the first time we faced a team like this, perhaps on this current run of form, and we should be looking at playing our own game against them. I think adding to that is the fact that the goals we're conceding, as we touched upon in the final word, tend to be more set pieces and errors rather than systematic situations with the way we're playing. So I don't think changing the system particularly benefits us. It's perhaps going into unknown territory a bit when we're not under threat through that situation anyway. We've seen, perhaps particularly early on in the season, we've had more problems caused by the long range shots and things, or the set pieces. Whether or not we can contain City to that kind of chance, we don't know yet, but I don't think on current form we've any reason to go into it with excessive trepidation, if you like. I think we should go in and look to assert ourselves to a certain extent.
I'm going to go in with a fat slice of trepidation. I'll be perfectly honest. But that's good. But it's the thing, isn't it? That it's good. But it's good to be nervous about games like this.
Before we beat Tottenham, I thought that's a tough game. We're going to have trouble with that one. Then we've got City, and then we've got Chelsea. I was looking at us maybe getting a point at Tottenham, going to City, under real threat of being beaten by them and then by Chelsea, and we'd drop so many points. And you saw what happened to Southampton when they lost 2 on the bounce, plummeted down the table. And the worst thing that happened to us is we dropped lots of places because the fans will start getting really restless about it. So that was my fear. I don't have that fear about the Chelsea game anymore. Even if we get beat, I'm thinking, doesn't matter now because we've got the win at Tottenham, we've got points in the bag. And I still think we'll get something at Chelsea. So, my trepidation's gone. Not because I think we'll beat them necessarily, but getting beat by them is less of a problem for me.
Yeah, I suppose that's right. Let's quickly have a trivia question then, and this one's been worded by Dave. So bear with me. Everyone settle in. Come to if you want to pause.
Come and see everyone.
Go and bang the kettle on. He just succinct is not in his vocabulary. The record transfer fee Man City have currently paid for a player is $35 million for Sergio Aguero. Former Red Nicolas Anelka previously broke the club record when he moved from Paris Saint-Germain for $13 million in 2002. But which player broke Manchester City's club record fee paid in 1979 when he moved from Preston North End for $765,000 and would later go on to win a treble with the Reds? Frigging hell. Good, well, we'll let you...
The question started about 2 lines from the end, didn't it? David had nothing to do with...
He's just showing out
what was about Aguero? What was Aguero involved in the question?
Slide Aguero on an Anelka in there.
If it's the person I think it is, I heard someone talking about him on the radio just a few days ago, which is why it came to mind.
You did.
Excellent. So the actual question then is... Which player did Manchester City break their club record fee for in 1979 when he moved from Preston North End for £765,000? And just out of interest as well, because again it's irrelevant, but he would later go on to win a treble.
If you actually think about someone who played that for such a small town to us and won a treble, that would give you the answer to the question.
Thanks. We'll give you the trivial answer.
So think about that.
Give you a trivia answer at the end of the show. You've got to remind me because I've not got an agenda. I actually did know the answer to that one as well. Now that I've just seen the answer, I'm reminded myself. Okay, so I was sort of driving that earlier, Chris. I'm dead nervous about this game, but I actually not in like I don't have a pit of dread in my stomach like I have in some games.
I know where you go with this.
I'm excited, and I think it's brilliant that I'm nervous because it means it matters.
Yeah, that's the crux of the issue for me, is that we've had too many years where games don't fucking matter, and this matters a lot because we can really, as Mike was saying a couple of weeks ago, we can set down a mark and say, look, we're here for the long haul this season if we get a result against City. Whereas, if we lose, we've lost, everybody loses there. That's fine, so it matters and it's important, and that's what being a football fan is. You don't want to see these mid-season, mid-table games.
Well, you don't want to go to games. I mean, do that where you play in Man City. It's a big game, but it's only a big game in terms of it's 2 big teams playing. We very rarely go in the last 3 or 4 years. In fact, we haven't played Man City in an important game. It's while they've been a team
since the 90s.
Well, no, since they've been. Since they've been a team that competes, particularly actually the League Cup, it was great over 2 legs there. But in the Premier League, it's great to be able to go up to Man City, who have been, the new boys on the block since we've fallen foul of, just being shit for the last few years. But it's great, isn't it, to be back to that level again?
Everyone knows that that's the game of the holiday. Manchester City versus Liverpool. There isn't a game to touch it, and it's 2 teams in the top 3, if not the top 2. Who knows?
Definitely in the top 4.
It's as though we felt like Scrappy versus Scooby for too long. There's been too many games like that where we've been competing, but not at the same level.
Plucky underdogs.
The aspect of being able to take points truly from not stop the other teams taking points, but take the points off them. And it's a great feeling to have that potential there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you hark back to 2000. We're going all the way back to 2008, 2009, aren't we? We were beating, but playing Chelsea, and you're getting last minute goals, and they're the games that really define a manager's career, aren't they? Because we were talking about this not having enough of a journey with Rodgers yet. Yeah. It's been great. There's been a slow, steady progression, and by all accounts, I don't think anyone expected us to be quite where we are now. If you'd asked us a year ago, it would have seemed absolutely impossible. But you do need those major games. I think Spurs was the first example of it, but we need to have more of them.
Well, you do. It's what endears fans to a manager, isn't it? It's these journeys that he takes us on, and these victories and stuff, and you only really get that in games that matter. So, for obvious reasons, the Tottenham one has endeared Rodgers to us because we embarrassed Tottenham in their own backyard, and we turned around a streak of really poor results there. And people will remember that. And going into City, it's exactly the same. If we get a result there against the biggest spending team in the Premier League, and we've gone there and got a result, and as a consequence we've stayed in maybe the top 2 of the table, it sends market down. It really does. I think the important thing for me this game is that Flanagan closes Milner down if he starts, because Milner's been their best player for about a month now, I'd say. Yeah. He's been absolutely superb. And then Henderson and Allen have to fucking terror Toure and Nasri, because I think Nasri's been brilliant.
Without Aguero, they'd quite like to play Navas, aren't they? On the
I don't think so, because I don't think Negredo is really, although he's in stature a big man, he doesn't play like a big man. I think if Zeko gets the start, then maybe Navas would be a good outlet for him.
I'm just worried about Flanagan if Navas is up there.
Because he's just hell quick, isn't he? And he's got amazing demon eyes.
I think that
yeah, that as well.
That was the one thing that for a few weeks has been on my mind, and it was why a couple of weeks ago I was suggesting maybe when Johnson's form started to drop off, swapping the two and just seeing if we could play them into a bit of form on the opposite flanks with Navas in mind, this game, which was then a few weeks ahead.
Well, so that if we were to look at the team and how Liverpool would approach it, is that if you're going to make any changes, is that the change you'd make? Would you make any other changes?
Well, until Chris pointed out the other day about Aguero's injury, I was all set to, hope that we go 3 at the back for the game.
I was set to just get blathered in the morning on Christmas ale, fill on turkey and go to sleep for the afternoon.
I could see us going 3 at the back, and I wonder whether the spell in the Cardiff game today, I wonder whether that's maybe with this in mind. Because if they go 2 up front, even without Aguero, or even if it's 1 up front with Navas coming in from the right hand side, I think having the extra man in the back there could be really useful.
I think that's a perfect example of 3 at the back. If they were to go with Negredo and Zeko, that would make sense to me to put 3.
There's no logic to them going 3 at the back today at all. No, it didn't make any sense.
Well, they were throwing men up front where they bought Cornelius on it, didn't they? Who was their big centre forward. He come on and won a header and got the biggest cheer of the day from the Cardiff fans. But obviously, again, once again, we are filming this as in the hours after Cardiff, so it is very fresh in mind. Yeah, I think I can see a case for that for 3 at the back. I say if they were to play the two bigger fellas. I do feel better not having Aguero, but we can't afford to be complacent.
No, not at all. This squad's unbelievable. Silva's just coming back from an injury as well, isn't he?
Back into form, big time.
Nasri's been superb, as I say. Milner, I think, has been their best player for the last month, as I've already said. I also think that if I was Pellegrini, I would actually bring Navas in, because I think he'd give Flanagan much more problems than Milner, but he has been influential in most of the stuff that City have been doing recently.
Flano does have prior for having decent games against Man City, doesn't he? Albeit with a completely different set of world-class players at the time.
But I do worry that if we go 3 at the back, we might have to. The player who drops out might be a midfield player, and I'm just getting into the notion of Allen and Henderson.
I think we've got to keep that the same. That's sort of what's making us tick, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be Coutinho for me, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think he'd be the one to leave that. Keep
Sterling and Suarez up front, essentially. That's the only issue for me where I think we may not. Again, goes back to Chris's not liking to change too many players, because we know that 3 at the back works with 2 centre forwards, with Sturridge and Suarez. And I would just normally say, well, fine, play Aspas, but you're not going to drop Coutinho.
Filled me with dread.
It's too
Play
something,
Aspas, what?
isn't it? But again, we're still back with the problem.
I think you'd be wrong to drop Sterling as well with the
Yeah.
form.
Oh,
he's in,
exactly.
and the
But
pace he's got.
I think there's too many issues of us to go back at the minute, and that's we still only have one genuine wing back in Glenn Johnson.
Yeah.
John Flanagan's been outstanding at left back, but I don't want to see him left wing back. I don't want to see him right wing back again, even though he was fine against Arsenal. If he's injured, my God, Martin Kelly, no. I do not want to see Martin Kelly as a wing back in any way, shape or form.
The other issue of the number of games we're playing at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, we're
Do we
playing
rotate?
Yeah, and then we've got another game with Chelsea very quickly.
And then
back of that.
Hull
I think
straight
if,
after
if
that.
he's going to rotate, he probably might do it for the City game, mightn't he? If he's got an eye on the Chelsea one, like us, thinking you've got more of a chance there.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, that would be my thinking. I think we've got a really good chance of beating Chelsea.
I just don't think we can. I don't think we can rotate.
No, I think it'll be the same side.
I don't think. What I mean is, I don't think it's. I think he would love to rotate. I just don't think we can. I don't think who.
No, but even if
who's
he was to leave
rotating?
Coutinho out, for instance, against City, that wouldn't do him any harm in terms of
Buff
the game. So, well, again, you'd have to go 3 at the back, wouldn't you? And then
I can see
It's mad that we
Coutinho
can't
coming
even
out.
make one fucking change or changing the formation at the moment.
I know. But that's
So
that's
how fucking thin we
well,
are.
you were
doesn't it?
saying threadbare before, and you're right, Jack. You're damn right. We midfield especially was so.
well,
So
we've said that
lightweight.
before. We've only got 4 midfield players in the club
Yeah.
who you would actually say can play.
You wouldn't be thinking, oh, it's all right. We'll just last Jordan Rochester in for this game. Completely tried and untested. Boss kid, good lad. Do you want to see him doing keepy-ups with a flyaway football tune into our subscriber special
plug.
Christmas
Plug.
Christmas Day show on the redmentv.com. It's free for a month, check it out. It's boss. And you also want to see me taking intense physical pain, having a football kicked at me, also worth a watch.
With no pants on.
Well, no, I had pants on, just it was lowered slightly. Bare ass. Don't recommend it.
Just on the note there about the squad being relatively threadbare,
On that bum note, you see what I did there?
I think whilst that's something that's been true in
You've
previous,
livened up.
I know, yeah, I have a little bit.
I think that's something that's been true for a number of years. You know, I think the difference at the moment, I mean, this is more broadly than looking at this one game, obviously, but I think the difference with the squad now is you look at the squad and you've got a team of players who you fully believe are in it for the long haul, whereas I think in the past we've signed players to replace players over and over. We've been losing and not
The
adding to the
Cromcamps,
squad.
the Hossamies.
Yeah.
Even the
Building block, sort of stopgap players, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
Got
Rafa
full-on
started,
filler.
didn't it? Rafa started it buying players so that you could sell them on later on when he wanted to buy someone who might be slightly better.
Or rather, what he did was he spent all his money on a few top players and had to pad out his squad with shit.
yeah, it's the feeling that we lose the first teamer and all we do in the summer is replace them. You look at maybe the, if you like, the left midfield run of Garcia, Benayoun, Maxi, you know, that kind of chain. You never deepen the squad. I think you look at the squad now, and despite at this stage of the season it looking quite thin, I've every confidence that the players we sign in the summer will either be very good players for the squad or players who'll bump our first teamers now.
Well, let's be honest. If we find all we need, really, you know, and it sounds daft, but if we can find one, maybe two good quality players in January, if we go by 2 internationals in January, that squad, it's a world of difference, isn't it?
I don't know, I agree with what Jack's saying. I think he's thinking even more than that. I think what Jack's saying is, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, we're buying first teamers. We've never had a squad like Man City or Chelsea in the Premier League era where there's genuine top talent on the bench, not just international
you got
players.
two top players.
But yeah, you're talking about Nasri and Silva are essentially the same bloody player. They're both 30-40 million pound players. One of them is rested pretty much every week. We've never had that where we've had a 30 million pound player on the bench.
No.
I think, to put it simply, it's the feeling that we've always been replacing instead of adding. I think that's the key to the policy over the years, and I think we might finally see that changing now because the squad we've got all look like Liverpool players going forward.
And the fact that we're doing so well will help us to get better players when we look for them in
Fingers
January.
crossed. But what I'm saying is, just in the short term, if you and Brendan Rodgers said this, if we were to go out and buy, and as an example, I wouldn't want him back, but what Morelos was when we bought him at the time, Portuguese international, 10 to 15 million pound mark. Someone like him coming in now would make us so much of a better squad just by having someone like that. And you know, if we do that in January, we actually might be able to put a sustained push together, you know, for the end of the season. Whereas right now, I'm still thinking, as we've said, we're only another injury or two away from like crisis time at the club.
It's
you know?
that hypothetical situation of when we signed Henderson, had Morella still been there for for the long haul, and the squad would be very different, wouldn't it?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, so I'm sure you all know we've got no RNTV musical interlude this week, but I will tell you what the trivia answer is because I'm good like that and I've remembered.
You sound alarm on your phone, did you?
Set in a mind there. Yeah, it's the question was who broke City's transfer record back in 1979. It's a thrilling question. As exciting, it's got nothing to do with Aguero, nothing to do with an Elfie. The answer was Dad.
Michael Robinson,
correct. Yeah.
Well done, John.
He's fantastic. Actually, if anyone's read,
he's famous in Spain.
Yes,
that's why I heard about him on the radio the other day.
Roban, he's in Simon Hughes's book, Red Machine. He's fantastic in it. Like he's more famous than Cristiano Ronaldo in Spain.
Was it Simon that was talking to us about him?
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let us know your thoughts. How do you think Liverpool should line up? Would you rotate any? Would you stick with the same formation? Would you change it? Let me know in the comment section. Before we go, we're going to score predictions. Jack, how do you think it's going to go down?
A 2-2 draw.
Okay, Dan?
I think we're going to get beat, but I can't bring myself to say we're going to get beat, so I think we're going to win 3-1.
I think we're going to win 3-2.
Ooh, okay. Let's just have it 4-3 Liverpool.
Oh, I didn't see it coming.
Last minute.
John Barnes did.
Last minute sneaking in, and everyone goes ape shit, and it goes down in history as one of the greatest games. Oh yeah, or as is what's probably going to happen, we're probably going to get just lightly tonked. Lightly tonked, like a 2-0. As long as we don't get beat, as long as they don't score 6 past us, that'll be fine. Anyway, let us know your thoughts, your score predictions, and if you want to watch more Redmen TV goodness over the Christmas period, there's loads of extra stuff on the redmentv.com as the aforementioned subscriber Christmas Day show. We've also got a Christmas special out on YouTube as well if you're tight and you don't like taking things for free for the month.
Or just skint.
Tight or skint. Yeah, if you spent all your money on Christmas presents, no.
Why didn't you buy a subscription?
Why didn't you? Or get someone to buy one for you. Anyway, yeah, there's loads of content around about this. If you want more stuff, if the free stuff on YouTube not satisfying you with all the extra time off you got over Christmas, go on the redmentv.com. I say it's completely free for the month, and then it's only £2. If you think it's shit, you can cancel it and it costs you nothing. Do it. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Have a very Merry Christmas, and fingers and toes crossed for the win.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. And we'll see you all soon.